Hello everyone and welcome to my second YouTube video. If you have watched the first video and you're still here, then I am very much impressed. The amount of times I said interesting, even I got fed up and bored of hearing that one. But by that point I had recorded the voiceover probably about a good 15-20 times by this point, and I was just nervous. First time doing a voiceover, and interesting apparently was that video's topic. But if you're brand new, then welcome. This channel is mainly art videos, that obviously time lapses of paintings with me kind of rambling over the top, just talking about the process that I went through and basically whatever's on my mind at the moment while I'm trying to make this art journey / career happen. This current piece is obviously two swans. Now, the idea behind it was Swan Lake, and I don't know if anyone's seen the film Black Swan with Natalie Portman in it, but I actually quite liked the film, and I liked the idea of struggling with like two sides of yourself. And that's kind of what I then decided to represent in this image today. So the idea being that the white swan in front is our good selves, the selves that we try to portray and live up to, and the black swan being our more secretive shadow self in a way, that side of us that we all have but try not to let out too often. I think for me, I saw it as a reflection of myself in terms of, say, just for argument's sake, a fun one, which is I have incredible game rage. So myself and my partner play a game called Magic the Gathering. If you don't know what it is, check it out. It's a really cool game and we play Commander. But I am probably the saltiest player there is. Even if I win, I'm not happy with how I've won. I just don't know what it is. I just have some super salt / game rage. Which only tends to come out when it's me, myself and my partner. Thankfully, he's actually really sweet with it and he finds it quite funny, which is good. But I mean, that's a part of myself, that rage of myself is not something that comes out at any other time. And yet I know it is a part of me. And as much as I want to change that, as much as I want to stop that from happening, have a bit more control over it, it's not always possible. I mean, yes, mine is associated to a card game, but it's kind of generalised speaking to everyone, whether it's, say, a mental disorder that you have, or dealing with something like depression, or whether it's just stress, everyday life stress. Life is very stressful. It's that kind of part of you that you try and hide away, and you try and put this brighter self forward. So yeah, so I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed all the meaning that it had behind it. Obviously, if you've got a different interpretation, then please feel free to let me know in the comments. It'll be really interesting to see what you think. This piece actually went through quite a few style changes. So it started off being with the swan in the background, the white swan, I should say, in the background, and then the black swan at the front, mainly because I really like black swans. I like the way they look. I like the fact that they're not as often as our pure white swans that we do get, especially here in the UK. I mean, Hyde Park is filled with beautiful white swans, but you don't really get to see black swans. So I was really looking forward to a chance to paint them, so I wanted to make that the centerpiece. But then when myself and my sister were talking, we kind of thought that didn't really go with the way of what I was trying to represent in this piece. So then we decided to change that, and I think, it was a really good idea, because I do think the swan in the background has a little bit more of a sinister pose, and it kind of goes with that whole thing of there is that side of us that is lurking beneath the surface. So yeah, I think that was a really good thing. I mean, thankfully I do lots of like concept sketches and mock-ups before I get to this canvas stage, so it wasn't a case of, as you can see in the video, I didn't paint the white swan black first and then have to go over the top of it or have to redo it all again. Instead, what I do is I do watercolour compositions in my sketchbook that I then do to scale and use watercolour to block out the different colours and see if what I'm trying to do works or whether I need to change that colour composition. It's not something I ever used to do, but then I was watching another YouTuber who was preparing for their first solo exhibition, I think it was. Don't ask me to pronounce the name. I think it's Kelogsloops, or it will be in the description below. I'm not very good with names, I apologise for that. But he was showing all his preparation that he went through for his gallery prep, and he did these tiny little mock-ups of the different sketches, and then he did colour versions as well, so that he could decide on the palette that he wanted to use. And I thought that was really interesting. I've never done it before this piece, but it was really helpful, especially with deciding which way round I wanted the swans to be. So it's definitely something that I will continue with. I probably won't do it for all my pieces, but I think the ones that I'm trying to have a bit more in-depth feelings and emotions associated with them, then it's definitely a thing to do, which I do recommend. But yeah, I mean, other than that, there wasn't too much else going on with this. It's, as usual, acrylic on canvas board, which I then prepped by applying a layer of gesso and then going over the top of that with the background colour that I wanted. But yeah, I mean, I did have a couple of points in this piece which I did really struggle with. So halfway through the video, so I think where this voice note is probably just before this point, you see where the white swan, the wing on it has got a lot of dark shading, like it's gone grey. I did too much in it, and I was in one of those moments where I was so focused on what I was painting in that little bit that I wasn't focusing on as a whole, and then my camera memory stopped. The memory card was full because I was in the middle of editing my first YouTube video, so I only had my little memory card free, and I had to stop at that moment. And when I stopped, I looked at it and I was like, oh, actually no, I really don't like this. I don't like what I've done there. And unfortunately, I don't have another memory card. I've got two. I've got one bigger one and then one small one that came with the camera. And I don't have any others. So I was just like, okay, well, I can't actually carry on with this piece until I finish editing the other video. And where I work full time, I didn't actually have any time off to do this for about a week and a half, because myself and my partner had a couple of days off together, and we really wanted to spend that time together, because normally we only get to see each other like once a week. So I couldn't carry on with my artwork, and it was getting to that point of, I don't know if anyone else has ever found it, but when you're in the middle of a piece, when you then stop working on it, I find it difficult to re-motivate myself and go back to it, especially if you've had to stop at that point where it's in that point in the piece where nothing looks the way it should and you're getting really frustrated with it. I don't have this problem all the time. It's only on these larger size canvases that I've been doing. Again, the measurements will be in the description below because I've totally forgotten what they are. But generally, I like working on like an A5 size, and it's just a lot more easier. You can kind of do it all in one sitting. Like I will draw it out one day and then paint it the next day or in 2 days' time or something. And this was the first time where I've actually stopped in the middle at a bit where I'm not quite happy with how it's looking. It's looking really rough. It's not refined, and I've just stopped for more than 2 days, which I don't normally do. But because I'm trying to do YouTube, obviously I'm trying to make these videos, and I can't make the video if I'm then carrying on without filming if I don't have memory space. So I had to stop. I had to force myself to stop. But then I found restarting just to be so difficult, and I only managed to do it because I forced myself, and I said, well, I've already edited half the video that I've done. I'm not going to waste all that time that I've done painting to get to this point and editing the video up to this point. I want to finish this, because otherwise I'm never going to get started on YouTube. What would be the point in doing all of this? And so that forced me to carry on, and I'm really pleased I did, because I'm pleased with the results. It's my first time painting a swan, So obviously the feathers and stuff, they're not highly detailed. It is more just like the base impressions of feathers and stuff, but that kind of goes with my art style anyway. As you would notice if you've come over from Instagram, my artwork isn't highly detailed. Like, there is detail in there, but it's not to the extreme of some of the greats, which, you know, their artwork is highly detailed and really good. Mine isn't quite like that. My style is a bit more subtle than that. But yeah, so obviously a bit of a tangent there, but my main point was that I really actually struggled to carry on with this piece. So if anyone's got any tips on how to keep yourself motivated, that would be really good to know. And if anyone else struggles with that, it would also be nice to know. But for myself, I really did struggle, and I forced myself because I wanted to put this video up on YouTube. But yeah, it was different to see that side because I've never struggled with that. I've never stopped working on a piece for so long. So some of the challenges I'm realising with YouTube is 1, don't get your head in the way of the camera. 2, learning to talk for this long on a voiceover. And then now 3 is learning to be able to stop when the memory card's full and then being able to go back to it and actually finish it off, rather than discarding it into the mountain of work that I've started and never finished and always meant to go back to, but realistically knowing that I never will. Don't know if anybody else has that kind of pile of art stuff or art ideas where they're like, yeah, I really want to do this, start doing it, don't like it, think they'll do it later, and then never do it. But yeah. Anyway, sorry for this really long ramble. It wasn't really about anything in particular, this video. It was more just trying to communicate the issues and the problems that I'm having with actually trying to start a YouTube channel, which again isn't something, like I mentioned in the first video, it's not something I've ever seen other YouTubers put up. And maybe there's a really good reason for that, because maybe this isn't going to do so well, but I just thought it'd be nice to see. Personally, I would find it nice to see somebody that's struggling and realising, trying to film and paint at the same time and trying to get used to that, because I would have really liked a heads up for that when I was starting this YouTube channel. If I'd realised what was going on, it wouldn't have stopped me, but I just think I would have been better prepared. So definitely learned something from this one, which is planning my time to film and making sure you've actually got the memory space, or if you don't, being equipped to be able to stop painting and then still be able to be motivated to go back to it when you're able to. But yeah, I hope this helped. If not, I apologise, hope you like the artwork anyway, and I will see you in the next video. If you like it, please do give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Have a lovely day.